ותישאני ואשמע חי קורש גדול, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. תיתנם ליעקב חסד לאברהם, אשר נשבעת לאבותינו מימי קדם. יהי רצון לפניך, אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו. למען יזמך וכבוד ולידום, אדוני אלוהינו עמתך. ויבטחו בך יודעי שמך, כי לא עזבת דרשך אדוני. אדוני חפץ למען צדקו, יגדיל תורה ויאדיר. יתגדע ויתגדע שמי רבה, ועמד דבר קירותי, וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומייכון, ובחייך בישראל, פגלה בזמן קריב, אמרו אמן. יהי שמר במבורך, לעולם ולעולמי עולמי. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה שמר קודשה בריחו לאלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבתה ונחמתה דרון בעולמה ואמרו אמן.
Silent Amidah for Mincha for Shabbat. Oh, sorry, Torah service, my bad. I got a little excited. Back to Torah reading, sorry, page 218.
ואני תפילתי לך אדוני את רצון אלוהים ברוב חסדך ענני באמת אישך ויהי בנצור אהרון ויאמר משה קום אדוני ויפוץ אויביך וינוסו משנאיך מפניך כי מציון תצא תורה ודבר אדוני מירושלים ברוך שנתן תורה לעמו ישראל בקדושתו. גדלו לאדוני תירום מה שמו יחדיו.
תפארת ונצח כי חוב השמיים ובארץ לך אדוני אדוני אלוהינו וישתחוו לאדם רגליו קדוש אדוני אלוהינו וישתחוו אדוני אלוהינו. It's okay. It's okay. You can be seated. All right. Sure. Thank you. Yeah, that's fine. Either that's fine. You can come on this side.
We might turn this around because the way the Torah is facing.
What did you say?
We might turn this around.
Oh yeah. Well,
it's okay. I can stand upside down.
Oh, okay.
What page you got? Okay, page 738. The Torah reading for the Parsha after Emor, which I'm trying to remember. Bahar. We're getting to the end of Vayikra.
It's this one here.
Yeah, that one right there. Excellent.
And if you're following along at home in another Chumash or Tanakh, it's the 25th chapter of Leviticus. Right.
Here, can I take that microphone? The microphone.
Oh yeah, that was not working.
Yeah. And also, would you lay out the blessing?
Is there? Are you sure?
No, it's on there. It's on there.
Oh, okay.
ותיגלה ותרם מלכותו עלינו בזמן קרוב ויחום פליטת פליטת עמו בישראל לכן וחסר רחמים ורצון ונאמר אמן. הכל אבו גודל אלוהינו תנו כבוד לתורה. We take it. Anyone want the first aliyah? Sorry, I'm a little discombobulated. You take it, Joel? Thank you, Joel. Yamod. Yechiel.
Ben Harav Chaim Shoshana.
Yechiel ben Harav Chaim v'Shoshana Rishon. Baruch shenatan Torah l'Amo Yisrael b'kedushato. V'atem madbikim b'Adonai Elohechem chayim kulchem hayom.
Baruch Adonai Baruch.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam b'char b'nu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe bechar Sinai lemor. Daber el bnei Israel v'ramata aleichem ki tavohu el haaretz asher ani noten lochem v'shavta haaretz Shabbat l'Adonai sheish shanim tizroa sadeka v'sheish shanim tizmar komecha v'yasafta et tuvata.
Baruch Atah Adonai Melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei natah b'tocheinu. Baruch Atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen. Amitiel, Ad Abraham, Martha Leah, Aliyah Shnia.
Page 738, last word is the last line.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Ufishna hashvi'in. Shabbat, Shabbaton, yichel la'aret, Shabbat, l'Adonai, Sadeka, v'lo tizra v'karmecha, lo tizmar eti dilmor, v'etzifichecha, etzifia kitzecha, lo tiksor, v'et afnei nizrecha, lo tiksor, Shana Shabbaton, yichel la'aret, V'chayata Shabbat haaretz lachem lachla lachal abdecha lemdecha le'oshavdecha v'letzircha v'letoshvacha. That's it. V'karim v'la'avda imak. Willing to call is willing him to call is Chercha, let's Echa, Hakarini Mahak. Let's Lachayal Asher Batzaka, Vakaitaka, Tikia, Kol Tivu El Otal Lachla, Lecho.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natah b'tocheinu. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Amod. Kayla Sima Bat Yehuda Rachel Aliyah Shlishit.
Page 739, verse 8.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Sefarta lecha Sheva Shabbaton Shanim. Sheva Shabbatot Shanim, Sheva Shanim, Sheva Pa'amim, V'achiu Lecha. Yemei Sheva Shabbaton Hashanah Hashanim Tesha V'Arbaim Shana V'Harvata Shofar Teruah B'Chodesh Hashvi'im V'Asor L'Chodesh B'Yom HaKippurim Taviru Shofar B'Kol Artechem V'Kidashtem Et Shanan Hamishim Shana Kiraftem Deror Be'Rosh L'Chol Shovecha Yovel Ki Tiki Elachem Shabbaton V'Shavtem Ish El Chuzato V'ish El Mishpachato Tashuvu Yovel Ki Shanat Hamishim Shanat Tiki Elachem Lo Tizrahu V'Lo Tiksuru Et Tifichecha V'Lo Tabtzru Titzru Et Nzirecha In Ki Yovel Hi Kodesh Tiki Elachem Min Tasedet Tachlu Et Etuvatan B'Taham Beshanat hayovel hazot tashuvu ish achuzato.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emes v'chayei olam natan b'torcheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Okay, hold on a second. All right. Please rise as we lift and wrap the Sefer Torah. Zot HaTorah Asher Sa Moshe Livnei Bnei Yisrael Al Pi Adonai B'Yad Moshe V'tomchei HaMeusharetz Chaim Lamachazikim Ba Kol netivotei Hashem.
Just kidding.
What?
I was just kidding.
Oh, no, it's okay. Kol netivotei Hashem. Let's just go on the back here. Just on the back here. Here, I'll take it again.
The yad is on the wrong.
Okay, thank you.
I got it.
Thank you. Shkoach, you can be actually remain standing. We're gonna do some an El Malay Rachamim. Just 1 second while I get myself set. So Marlise Backrack, who's on Zoom with us, is remembering the yortzeit of her father, and the yortzeit which is today, and the yortzeit of her grandmother. Great. We'll be happy to do it right after if that's okay. Yeah, no problem. Thank you. And if anyone else has an El Malay that they'd like to say, Aaron, if you'd like, we can say an El Malay Rachamim. Yeah. Okay, no problem. And I was saying that her grandmother's yortzeit is 3 days from now. Marlise, if you want, before we say the Salam Alei Rachamim, you're welcome to unmute and share any memories of your father and your grandmother, if you'd like. She's working on it. if they'll let you. I'm not sure. No, they won't let you. Oh, I apologize. Okay, well, we're hoping that the memories that you would have shared with us are really being held in your heart and bring you a lot of comfort and joy. El male rachamim, shochen b'mromim, hametzei menucha nechona, tachat kanfei השכינה, במעלות קדושים, וטהורים כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים, לנשמת משה בן יצחק ורבקה, שלח לעולמו. בגן עדן תהי מנוחתו, הנה בעל הרחמים, הסתירהו בסתר כנפיך לעולמים, וצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתו, אדוני הוא נחלתו, וינוח בשלום ישכבו, ונאמר amen. And for her grandmother, המלא רחמים, שוכן במרומים, המצא מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה, במעלות קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים, לנשמת רבקה בת ולבו ומלכה, שלח לעולמה, בגן עדן תהי מנוחתה, הנה בעל הרחמים, הסתירה בסתר כנפיך לעולמים, וצרור בצרור החיים ונשמתה, אדוני הוא נחלתה, ותנוח בשלום ישכבה, ונאמר amen. Would you like to come up and yeah, if you'd like, yeah. No need to. It'd be nice. Just tell us remind us who you're remembering.
Okay, my mom, Georgia Bathaya from Iraq, Baghdad. My sister, Megad Lasser, she called me and she said to light a candle for her memory. And I did. I did not know what else to do, really. But she was an amazing second wife of my father, Meir Yom Tov. Because he didn't have boys, so he remarried because his wife passed away, and he remarried my mom as a second wife. She had twins, boys and 3 girls, and I'm one of them. And the last one was stolen, by the way. It wasn't Yemenite, it was Iraqi, but they take it away in the hospital. They asked her, how many kids you have? She said 5. They figure out it's enough, and they took it away. By the way, and that was Iraqi. It wasn't Yemenite. That's besides that. My mom, she was wonderful. They both were Orthodox. I grew up Orthodox in elementary school. Unfortunately, my other brothers were in a regular school, less Orthodox. But my brother, may rest in peace, Semi Yom Tov, was more Orthodox. And he became Orthodox, and may rest in peace, he was in the Israeli army, but he passed away also. But that's it. My mom was wonderful. She took care of everything. My father too. And I must say something. My father was very old because we were the second family for him. And I was embarrassed when he used to come to my elementary school. And now I feel, what's wrong with me? I need to find a way to make it up to him. He was older and I was the youngest of his children. And I feel like I wasn't nice to him. I was embarrassed by him being old. He died at 89. May rest in peace. That's all.
Oh, thank you for
May God
sharing.
bless you. Thank
Do you want to hold the Torah while I
Yeah,
say the
why
El
not?
Malei Rachamim?
I love
Okay, and
I
what
never
your
had a
mom's name
chance.
is Georgia
Bathaya.
Georgia Bathaya. Okay. El Malei Rachamim shochen במרומים, המצא מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה, במעלות קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים, לנשמת ג'ורג'יה בת חיה, שהלכה לעולמה, בגן עדן די מנוחתה, אנא בעל הרחמים, הסתיריה בסתר כנפיך לעולמים, וצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתה, אדוני הוא נחלתה, ותנוח בשלום על משכבה, ונאמר amen. May your mom's memory be for blessing. Amen.
May God bless you. And everybody I know of my friends and family that passed away, I always mention all of them. And when we do Kaddish Yatom and all this, I remember all of them. It's like
Yeah,
a list.
it's like they're bringing them into the
May
room.
God
Thank you
bless
for sharing them with
Todah.
us.
May God bless you.
Yes, yes. If you'd like.
You can unmute Beth.
Hello.
Oh, yes.
Hi. I hope I'm not interrupting. My brother and I are here from Long Island, New York, and we came to pay respects for my mom's yard site that's tomorrow.
Great. That's great. Should we do Aaron? Yeah, we're just we'll do this El Malei Rachamim, and then we'll finish with yours if that's okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I'm glad we can hear you. Go ahead. Okay. Aaron's remembering his father of blessed memory, Rabbi Morley Feinstein.
Yeah, I would just say really briefly, my father was a really special person. He had cancer for the last few years and passed about a year ago. He was rabbi in Indiana, in Texas, in LA at the University Synagogue, and he's dearly missed. He was an amazing father and Torah scholar and a really, really good rabbi.
His memory be for blessing. Should I tell the Torah? And his Hebrew name is Harav. Okay, I might need help with it. Okay, Menachem Tuvia Ben
Raphael Achelu Macha.
El Malei Rachamim שוכן במרומים המצא מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה במעלות קדושים וטהורים כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים לנשמת הרב מנחם טוביה בן רפאל אנשלה ומלכה שהלך לעולמו בגן עדן תהא מנוחתו. אנא בעל הרחמים, הסתירהו בסתר כנפיך לעולמים, וצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתו, אדוני הוא נחלתו, וינוח בשלום על משכבו, ונאמר amen. Wishing you a lot of comfort and love and great memories of your father, and may you carry him with you wherever you go. Amen. And Beth, if you'd like to unmute now.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes, please
Appreciate it.
feel free to tell us briefly who you're remembering.
Remembering my mom. She passed 3 years ago. And sorry, I'm always choked up when I say it. She was very loved by us, of course, my brother and I, and friends and the community. And she had a great personality and a big heart. And she was fun and funny. She could be a friend and she could be a good mother. She was always protecting us with her lessons. And, we carry her in every minute. Her voice is still here to me.
Thank you, Beth. Thank you for sharing. May her
Thank you
rest
for
be
letting
blessed.
us.
What is her Hebrew name?
Pearl Chaya, Bas Freda.
Pearl Chaya Bas Freda.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, great, Pearl Chaya Bas Freda. אל מלא רחמים שוכן במרומים, המצא מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה, במעלות קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר רקיע מזהירים, לנשמת פרופרדה בס חיה, שלחה לעולמה, בגן עדן תהא מנוחתה, הנה בעל הרחמים מסתיריה בסתר כנפך לעולמים, וצרור בצרור החיים נשמתה, אדוני הוא נחלתה, ותנוח בשלום על משכבה, ונאמר amen. May the memories of all those who we remembered be a great blessing to each of you who are remembering, and to all of us, and thank you for sharing those beautiful memories. All right. We will continue finishing the Torah service. You got the page. I have too many Sidurim going on right now. So I think 221 in Lev Shalem. And yeah, that's good for now. Hodo al eretz v'shamayim, v'yarem keren le'amo, v'alebo chasida, v'Yisrael am karovo, hallelujah. The David.
Eitz chaimim lachzim bav dam chacham erushad v'hechadach noam v'choni v'teh shalom hashivenu aranai lecha v'nashuva chadesh yameinu kekedem.
Normally we would do a full repetition of the Amidah, but because we had so many people to remember and so many wonderful memories shared, I'm just looking at the time, and I think we'll do a Heichi Kedusha. So we're going to do the Chatzi Kaddish on page, this is the wrong Siddur, but at the bottom of the page that you're on right now, and then we're going to do a Heichi Kedusha starting on the next page.
Yitkada v'yitkada shemei Rabba v'madiva k'utei v'amlich machlutei v'chayron v'yomeichon v'chayedecho be'Yisrael b'galav v'zman kariv imu amen yesh me'Rabba mevarach le'elam le'me'al maya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbar v'yitma v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yidale v'yidal hashmer kudusha b'richu Le'elam go b'chada v'shirata tushbada v'nechmata daman v'amavimu amen Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Eloi Avotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzhak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor VaNorah Elyon Gomer Chasadim Dovim V'Konei HaKol V'Zoher Chastei Avod U'Vigo Elivnei V'Nehem L'man Shmo B'Yava Melech Ozer V'Gen Moshiach Magen Baruch Ata Adonai Magen Avraham V'Kei Tzara אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחמיתה ברב להושיע מוריד הטל מחלקל חיים בחסד מהם דמרחמים רבים שמח נופלים והופך חולים ומתיר אסירים וקיים עדו לשני עבר מי כמוך בר גבורות ומדום מלך מלך מימין ומחד וישועה ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים לקדש את שמך בעולם כששמעתי אותו בשמי מרום ככתוב היד נביאך וקרקור את זה אל זה ואמר קדוש קדוש אדוני צבאות מלוך על הארץ כבודו ומתם ברוך יאמרו Baruch Avod Adonai Mim Kamodi, Vekochecha Katsuv Lemor. Yimelach Adonai Le'olam, Elohai Tzion, Ledor Vador, Hallelujah. Ledor Vador Gigod Lecha, Lenetzach Netzim Kedushat Chanakdish, Veshivchacha Eloheinu, Mibinu Le'emush Le'olam Va'ed, Kel Melech Ador V'kadosh Ata, Baruch Ata Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
If you're davening, please continue at your own pace. We're going to conclude on page 230 in Lev Shalem with the Tzidkatcha prayer, followed by Kaddish Shalem.
Tzidkatcha tzedek le'olam, v'toatcha emet, v'tzidkatcha Elohim, ad ma'am asher tzidka gedolot, Elohim yichamocha, tzidkatcha gare'el, v'yishatecha tarum rabah, adam ve'ema, toshia Adonai. יתגדע ויגדע שמי רבה, ועמד יברכי ותרניך מלכותי בחייכון ובימיכון וחייתך בישראל, בגלה בזמן קריב עמו, אמן. יהי שמי רבה ברך לעולם ולעלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתברך ויתמם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה שמי קדושה בריחו. לעילה מן כה בחטא ושירתה תשפטה ונחמתה דמן בעלמה ועמו, אמן. תתקבל צלחו וברכון תכל ישראל קדם ושמע ועמו, אמן. יש שלמה מן שמע וחיים עלינו ועל ישראל ועמו, אמן. עושה שלום עממה ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועמו, אמן. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל. Okay, never know. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. גדול ויתקדש שמי רבה בעלמא דברה קירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומייכון וחיי דכל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם אלומי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה
Made a Kudsha,
לעילא מן כל
Ela min kol bechata, b'siyata, yishachata v'nechemata, v'neham b'yamara, amen. V'shwana rabba min shemaya, v'chayim mo'anim v'yakol, amen.
Shalom v'mova, ya'aseh
V'ya
v'shalom,
asad Torah, amen v'yakol,
v'imru,
v'yakol.
amen.
Yasher Koach to Alan and to Barry for reading Torah. And just want to thank Aaron one more time for sponsoring this Seudah Shlishit in honor of his father, blessed memory. And following that, please enjoy the Seudah Shlishit. We're going to just take 5 minutes or so to get things gathered. And then we're going to do some teaching from the Hartman series that we've begun. And even though it said I was teaching, we're going to co-teach since Rabbi Schatz. We got bonus Rabbi Schatz time this Shabbat. And I had lots of finals. So she helped, just make sure that this was going to be extra good.
David,
Maybe I'm saying too much. Yes.
the source sheet didn't get sent out in the email?
Yeah, we'll speak them out loud. There's not too many sources, so apologies for that. And we'll try to make sure.
No apologies. But given that it's a series, it would be great if it could get added when the next week
Yeah,
is
we can
sent out.
send it after Shabbat, I think. And Rabbi Schatz will make sure it gets taught next week.
Yes, she will. Now, won't she?
And next week.
I hope the finals went well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, all things considered.
Well, at least they're final. So when is your time with this go round with Betham done?
It's I'm finishing up basically at Shavuot. So
got
a
it.
month or so for this round, and then I'm off to New Orleans for the summer, and then Israel for the year. So, yeah, that's our third year of the program is in Israel. So.
Yeah, I think I knew that from the other interns / residents.
But I'll come back.
My own personal theory is that you definitely will.
Okay.
To be explained later. Bye.
Okay. All right, we're gonna get some, get some nosh for yourself if you'd like. We'll do the same. See you in a second. The words aren't coming to me today. I'm just tripping over my words. Yeah.
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi Schatz.
Thanks. All right, should we start? Do you want to give the intro? And then I'll
Be sidekick. You know, good moral. Getting some credit.
All right. Yeah.
Oh, you mean like the framing?
Yeah.
I can do it. You do it.
Okay. All right. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
Sorry to cut into your chatting time, but we're gonna get started so that we don't keep you all night long. So as some of you might know, this is part of a Hartman series that we're doing between Passover and Shavuot. So the plenary at our Tikkun Leil Shavuot is actually going to be the last of these sessions, and it's going to be the sanctification of time. Is going to be the plenary at Shavuot. It's unknown. I was about to say it's unclear, but it's just unknown who is going to be on that plenary stage. For sure, Rabbi Kligfeld and myself, and possibly Rabbi Noah Farkas, who will be joining us for the Tikkun Leil Shavuot this year, and we're hoping that he's going to be one of the plenary speakers. But we are doing these classes in a particular kind of frame to get us from Passover to Shavuot. And there are many, many, many classes that we could pull from. These were just the ones that we thought would be most interesting for Beth Am and also for this period of time in between while we're counting the Omer. So today's class is on faith and blessing. So we wanted to ask you an initial question, which I'll let
Oh, you let me? Okay.
yeah,
great. No,
which
right.
I'll let David pose to all of you. But we want to ask you an initial question, and then we're going to go through the different sources. And just as a caveat from the beginning, we're not going to be able to spend as much time on all of these sources that each of these sources really deserves. We could spend hours, days, semesters on this one topic and these 3 sources, but we're going to spend 20-ish minutes instead. So please feel free to share your thoughts and also to continue to engage us in conversation around these sources.
Great. So the question to start us off is, in general, what are the major ways you think of when you think of connecting with God, whatever that may mean to you? What are the ways that we connect to God?
Examples are like stories, moments that you've had. Leave it general.
We don't want to give it away.
Sorry, I should have not spoken.
They're going to have great ideas, I know.
Thoughts? Tom? Great, through Torah study.
Excellent.
Star
That's
student.
a good one.
Meditation.
Meditation.
Music.
Music, miracles.
Miracles, very nice.
Splendor of nature, great. We're going to get to that in our last source.
Beautiful.
Prayer.
Prayer.
Great.
Great.
Great. So following Jewish law, whatever that means for you, whether that's actual traditional halacha or it's just the rituals and practices around the tradition. AJ. Great. Reflection and introspection.
Great. Tom?
Great. Through relationships with other people.
I think that's a good spread, and thank you all for the great ideas and for all those beautiful ways that you connect to God, but also thank you for not saying the one thing that I thought you might miss to some extent, which is through blessings. We did say prayer, but one of the things we're going to raise in this conversation is, while sometimes blessings are involved in prayer, are they slightly different activities? Are speaking blessings in our day-to-day life the same thing as our prayer services, or not? Is it the same kind of action, or is it a different thing? And I think it's just interesting that we have this multitude of ways that we can think of and conjure up quickly to think how we connect with the divine, with something greater than ourselves. But we forget all these little blessings that are a major part of the Jewish day in a traditional and not so traditional environment. And so that is what this unit is on. It's a unit about blessings, and we're going to take a journey and see how the idea of how blessings function in the Jewish life has evolved from the text that we have in the Torah onward. AJ, yeah. Sure, question. Great. So this is a great kind of framing question. AJ was saying, is a blessing more than just an acknowledgement of God's role in our life? And if it is, what is its function? I think we're going to do a little bit of exploring through these texts, but that's a really nice kind of guiding question for us to start.
Okay. So if you look on the first page of the source sheet that got sent around, source number 1 is from Deuteronomy, from Devarim. I know that people on Zoom / live stream, couldn't think of that word, did not get this. So if you would like to look in a Chumash, you're more than welcome to. It's Deuteronomy, Devarim, chapter 8, starting with verse 7. 8-7. I'm going to read because I have the microphone so that people on Zoom can hear, but please feel free to follow along. And I'm going to mostly read in the English, though I might switch over to the Hebrew for some important phrases. For the Lord your God is bringing you into a good land, a land of brooks of water, of fountains and depths springing forth in valleys and hills, a land of wheat and barley and vines and fig trees and pomegranates, a land of olive trees and honey, a land in which you shall eat bread without scarcity. You shall not lack anything in it, a land whose stones are iron and out of whose hills you may dig copper. Ve'achalta ve'savata uverachta, and you shall eat and you shall be satisfied and you shall bless. Adonai Elohecha, the Lord your God, for the good land which God has given you. Beware lest you forget the Lord your God, not keeping God's commandments, ordinances, and statutes which I command you today. Lest when you have eaten and are satisfied and have built goodly houses and dwell in them, and when your herds and flocks multiply and your silver and gold is multiplied, and all that you have is multiplied, should your heart become haughty and you forget the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage, who led you through the great and dreadful wilderness, which had snakes, fiery serpents and scorpions, and thirsty ground where there was no water, who brought you water out of the rock of flint, who fed you in the wilderness with manna, which your fathers did not know, that God might afflict you and test you to benefit you at the end. And you say in your heart, my power and the might of my hand have gotten me this wealth. But you shall remember the Lord your God, for it is God who gives you power to get wealth, that God may uphold God's covenant, which God swore to your ancestors, as it is this day.
So,
Yeah, no.
No, I was gonna, so what is the major theme here, and what is the function of blessing in this text? Norm? Oh, sorry. Irv. I said Norm. Sorry, Irv. I had a moment. Gratitude. Okay. Any particular gratitude for what or how? For all of this, right? Which is a lot of good stuff. Yes. Great. So there is this theme of food and these these elements that are sustaining us, that are abundant. Yes, that's the idea. Yes, Joey. Right, and we get exactly. So making it explicit, Joey's saying we see this in it's in our blessing after the meals. It becomes a liturgical text. Yes, Joel. Great. So Rabbi Dorf likes to say in our classes at Ziegler, he's always quoting this line, "Kochi ve'otzem yadi asu et achayil," right? That by my strength and my effort is what made all this happen, right? Which is the kind of anti-Jewish stance. Yes. Mm.
In other words, something that you've been gifted that you didn't earn.
Great.
And I think there's an element of our humility for God's sake.
Great. So Rabbi Sean pointed out that this is something that we did not necessarily earn and yet need to be grateful for, need to have this chen, this grace around that which has, in this particular text, come to us, but that could happen upon us or could benefit us, that we didn't necessarily have anything to do with.
I think one last comment from Tom. Great. So there's something about the physical and emotional experience of being sated, of getting to eat and enjoy all this unearned stuff that is the thing that propels you to bless. At least in this text, that's the idea. Do you want to share what trouble you had with this particular view of blessing?
Being called out. So Hartman pointed out in this curriculum, in the teacher's kind of guide, that in the midst of success, it is easy to become arrogant and to forget those who helped one achieve that success. So similar actually to what Rabbi Sean was saying, but I don't know, I hear Hartman's way of saying it a little bit more pessimistically than Rabbi Sean, but that's also because I love everything that Rabbi Sean says. And I don't love that idea of why I should say a blessing. Right? I don't love the idea of assuming that people are going to be arrogant based on that which either happens for them or that which they are able to achieve themselves, and therefore we should say blessings for things. If I am someone who can buy my own groceries, which is not something that everyone can do, right? So I should be grateful to be able to do that. That should not be the reason that when I put an apple in my mouth, I say a blessing for it. It shouldn't be the fact that I am so successful that I was able to buy it. It should be that I am in awe of the fact that that apple came from a place that I'm about to bless, and that I have the good fortune to be able to actually eat that apple. And so to me, this text, this formula for blessing, which we're going to get into a few others, and it kind of calms down my idea here, or my challenge here. But this idea of it being, of blessing being something that needs to remind us to be humble is just it's a hard thing for me to want to then say a lot of blessings. It doesn't sit well with me. And
yeah, and I think it frames kind of a major weighing, what how blessing is being understood is it really about curbing human impulses to take things for granted, which kind of takes this idea that we're naturally gonna not be thankful unless we have these things. Which we definitely certainly see people in the world who could use a little more humility and appreciation of what they have, and certainly that also holds for ourselves sometimes. Or is it really this positive experience of, not because I'm trying to curb any impulse that I'm naturally going to have, but that I really experience the beauty and the goodness of this, and I just want to do it, right? Is it like I have to do it because you're a bad human, or I want to do it because I want to live and enjoy and appreciate? Great, so we can move it. Yeah, good. Do you want to finish?
I just want to say one thing.
Good.
When we teach blessing to kids, we often say to them, what is the blessing that you say over an apple? Borei pri ha'etz, right? Then we say, what do you say for the blessing over a carrot? Borei pri ha'adama. What is the blessing that you say over bread? Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. The difference between the bread and the other two examples, the apple and the carrot, is that the apple and the carrot, you are blessing the source, right? You're blessing the tree, and you're blessing the ground from which they grew. When you bless bread, you are saying that it's for that which the bread was brought out from the ground. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. But we know that bread didn't actually come from the ground, right? Your sourdough didn't come out of dirt. Wheat did. And so what you're actually saying when you say hamotzi lechem min haaretz, which to some that is kind of the ultimate bracha because it covers all the others, you're actually blessing the hands of somebody who made that bread. And so to me, this idea of blessing is putting into effect, and a little bit based on this text actually, is putting into effect all these wonderful things that yes, we were given, or yes, we are able to receive now, and to know where they come from, but to also know the effort that was put into getting them to us. And we say a blessing before we put it in our mouth, and we say a blessing after we've finished, which is also a very important part of the next text that we're going to look at.
Great. So going into this next source is from Mishnah Torah, from the Rambam, who has, we're going straight into halachic codes. Rambam, who has codified all the different rulings and ideas in the Mishnah and the Gemara. And we're going to see maybe a slightly different perspective on what blessing could be. So he says, thus all blessings can be divided into three categories. Okay, the three are birchot hanaya, blessings over benefit, birchot mitzvot, right? Blessings over mitzvot, over the performance of commandments, and birchot hoda'ah, right? Blessings recited as expression of praise and thanks to God and as a means of petition so that we will always remember the Creator and fear God. So what do we see differently between the text from Deuteronomy about blessing and this text? Is there anything additional or different about this layout of how blessings are used? Okay,
Interesting.
right.
Yeah, God's not in this
Well,
one. Yeah.
it is in the third one, but there's pieces of the blessing that aren't about. I mean, there's pieces of the three options that are not inherently about God. It doesn't explicitly say. Well, the one thing that I really noticed is, that it's not just about blessing God because you have all this goodness, right? We have blessings over benefit, but we also have blessings over mitzvot, right? We also have moments of acknowledgement and appreciation of the ability to perform commandments, which doesn't seem to really be exactly explicitly laid out in Deuteronomy.
And yet it goes back so much more to what we all said in this room about what brings us close to God, right? Are those things that we do, whether it's practicing holidays or
learning Torah,
right? Being in relationship with people, all the things that Tom said, but being able to really see Judaism as living, which is what the Rambam is doing here by saying that it's over things that you benefit from, right? Or benefit you, and over mitzvot that you do. And then expressions of praise and thanks. Those are things that you are saying. And interestingly, the end of this part of the Rambam, the end of the third part here, the third section, it actually brings us back to that which we discussed in Deuteronomy, right? It's exactly pointing us back to this idea of you need to remember God and have reverence for God.
Yeah. No, it's interesting because I actually read the third one. I read A, blessings over benefit, even though Deuteronomy lays it out and kind of expands upon the idea. I read that more as what's in Deuteronomy, that because you're benefiting from all these things, you're enjoying all these things. And I read the C as the question of, our blessing as blessings within prayer, right? The question is, are blessings actually the same as prayer? Are they just tools within prayer to make that connection? So I see it expanding. I mean, I see the connection to it, definitely the reverence for God, that it's still a vehicle for that, but that in Deuteronomy, it's a reverence for God because everything you got is great and you're doing really well. Versus this is just like the reverence that is due, because of being alive. So I see it expanding in two directions. Yeah, Alan.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a little bit more Deuteronomy, I think, right? Like the idea of the power of God, which allowed us to then have stuff that we could then bless, right? And have blessing in our lives. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, this is maybe a little bit more work-a-day kind of definition of blessing. It doesn't get into the idea of like God's might and abilities that are beyond our abilities. Right. But there is the fear and the reverence, right? That the thanks to God is the fear. Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Great. So Kathy is saying that the first source that we looked at in Deuteronomy is really explaining like the different kinds of right, the different reasons for blessings, right? And like what a blessing really is. And then when we get to Rambam, who comes much later, it's not like Rambam comes right after the Torah, but Rambam is now putting those different kinds of blessings into categories as to how we can do them, and then potentially we would find meaning in the doing of them based on going back to the Deuteronomy.
Yep.
I think we should go to the third source.
Yeah.
Because again, we could spend. If anybody wants to go deeper into these sources, there's a school. It's called the Ziegler School of Rabbinic Studies. You're more than welcome to enroll. I'm happy to write you a letter of recommendation.
You also don't have to go to Ziegler to learn Torah.
Oh, what?
Just to learn Torah. If you would like to learn Torah, you don't have to become a rabbi. I've heard. I haven't,
It is
I didn't follow that expression.
That's surprising. Yeah. Okay, so this third source is from Mishnah Brachot.
Yeah.
In chapter 9, the second Mishnah and the third Mishnah. And I'm going to just read through the second one pretty quickly. I don't know that we need to read the third one. You can decide that. But I'm going to read the second one pretty quickly.
Oh, the third.
So on witnessing comets, earthquakes, thunder, or windy storms, one says, "Blessed be God whose strength and might fill the world." On seeing mountains, hills, seas, rivers, or deserts, one says, "Blessed be God who made creation." Rabbi Yehuda says, "One who sees the great sea should say, 'Blessed be God who made the great sea.' If one sees it at all intervals. For rain and for good news, one says, 'Blessed be God that is good and grants good.' For bad news, one says, 'Blessed be the true judge.'" So if you were to read this in the Hebrew, which would have made a little bit more sense to those who have heard these blessings before, you would hear Baruch Hashem Maasev Reshit. You would say here Baruch Shehasa et Hayam Hagadol. You would hear Baruch Dayan Haamet, which we often hear around death. So what we're now getting to in Mishnah Brachot, which comes before Maimonides, by the way, but what the Mishnah is now doing is the rabbis are saying, okay, when you see these things, this is what you say. When you see these things, this is what you say, and categorizing them as to when and how. Just very interesting. It doesn't say this in this particular piece, but I love this little bit of trivia. You're not supposed to show someone else a rainbow. There's a specific blessing for a rainbow. Are you laughing at me?
Yeah, no, I'm laughing.
There's a specific blessing for a rainbow, and you're not supposed to point it out to someone else, because they're supposed to come upon that moment of brilliance and magnificence in nature all on their own so that they can say the blessing. Because if I say, "Hey, David, look at that rainbow in the sky," if there was a rainbow right now, it'd be pretty cool. Look at that rainbow in the sky. He then wouldn't have the opportunity to say the bracha because I would have seen it and pointed it out to him, as opposed to him happening upon it, which is what that blessing is for. We're not going to get into the halacha around that. It's just fun trivia. And next time you're at a party, you can share that piece of news. It goes really far.
Again.
Yeah. So what's different about this piece of text around blessing? Yeah, Jason? Great. So you said it's not the everyday thing, but I would change that into saying sometimes it is the mundane, right? Like the rain or things like that. But you're right that it's not the everyday eating of an apple. Right? It's those natural things that we might happen upon. Was it Michelle who said going out into nature? That just this idea that we find God, for some of us, we find God in these beautiful natural moments or scary natural moments, right? When natural disasters happen in this world, that to some, that can feel like a moment where you are witnessing God, whether that's in the people who are helping out or just in the magnificence of nature being able to destroy like that. Tom, did you want to say something? Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I love that you said experiential and transactional, right? That there's this sense in Mishnah Brachot of us giving blessing based on things that we witness, whether or not God is either witnessing them with us or would care that we're witnessing them, right? Whereas if you happen upon, or not happen upon, if you're celebrating something or you're putting an apple in your mouth, that moment is supposed to connect you with God in such a way that it does feel transactional or relational. And these things are just about you witnessing and experiencing life around you.
I think if we do one more line of the third Mishnah in this chapter 9, I think it defines something very different from where we started in Deuteronomy. So it says, upon when one has built a new house or bought new vessels, you say Shechianu, right? You say Baruch Shechianu v'kiyamanu v'yanu zmanazeh, who brought us to this moment. But the main thing I want to say is one who blesses over the evil as over the good, or blesses over the good as over the evil, right? Actually, is that saying "Behold, that's a vain prayer"? Is that how they're translating it?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. I thought it was saying. I thought it was saying initially that you bless over the good and the bad, which is actually true based on what we said. That you say. You say Baruch Dayan Hamed, but you also say Baruch Hatov Hametiv, right? You blessing over both positive and negative things. So actually, that part doesn't say that, but just the fact that we mentioned. Not just when you got a lot of grain in the storehouse, and not just when things feel great and you're on a roll, but also the moments, and this is the hardest part. I'm not saying it's easy. It often feels very difficult, but even just hearing not great news, to bring God into that in some way, even if God may not be the cause of it necessarily. Is what they're saying, that actually it's not just about when things are great, you should bless God so you keep your ego low, but also bless on the not great things as well. Yeah, AJ. Right. Yeah, I think maybe it actually does say that in Hebrew and not. Oh, okay. Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think if that translation is correct, then it's saying that somebody who would bless the same way on something good that they do on something bad is narishkeit, right? It doesn't make sense. It's not actually the right idea. Alan, did you want to say something about it? Great. Right. Right. Totally. And the beautiful thing is actually that they are different blessings, right? That we still bless, and that's where the similarities end, right? That we are specific about what those moments are. Yes, Joey. Oh, sorry. And then
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. So we have to end. We went even over how much, and we could keep going forever, but yeah. No, I see there were other hands. But we're gonna end. So the main takeaway from this is that there are different ways for us in Judaism to say blessings to bring God into all of our moments. So it's actually a beautiful, this conversation that happened at the end here is actually a beautiful way of us remembering that it's not just at the bar mitzvah and at the birth and at the wedding. It's also in the moments of Shiva and in the moments of a yahrzeit and in the moments of death that we bring in the sanctification of blessing and of God, because God isn't only supposed to be present for us in the rainbows, but also God is present for us in the earthquakes. And so when we're looking through these different sources, what Hartman is trying to point out for us, and what I think we've come to today in this room, is the fact that we really situate ourselves in a tradition that allows us to have these 100 blessings that we're supposed to say throughout a day so that God is being brought into each one of those little moments. So I hope, unless David has a final word, I hope that we are able to go into this next week really finding those moments for blessing. They don't need to be in the formula of blessing that you saw here today. They don't even need to go according to the blessings that you read about here today. But just to think about the different ways in which we acknowledge blessing in the life that we're living, and remember that it doesn't have to just be in the good moments. So when you're struggling, say a blessing for whatever you're struggling for, or for the strength to get through that struggle. But to be able to have 100 blessings a day to bring God into each one of the moments throughout your life.
Amen.
We are going to do a very quick beer cut. We're going to do a very quick beer cut, and then we're going to do a very quick Mariv, and then a very beautiful but quick Havdalah. Okay, I will start Shir Hamalot, and then someone will do the Zimun, and then we'll do the rest silently. Shir Hamalot Beshuv Adonai et Shivat Zion Ayinu Kechomim Az Yimalech Chok Binu Ushonenu Rina Az Yomru Vagoyim Ehidil Adonai Lasatim Ehidil Adonai Lasatim Anu Hayinu Semechim Shuv Adonai Et Shevitenu Kafikim Ba'negev Hazorim Bedimam Berina Yiktaru Halach Halach Uvachonos Semeshech Hazara Boyavo Verina no Alumotav. Joe, you want to just lead us in the Zimun? Yeah, Hishama Namarachmet Tave Adolam. We'll continue with Mariv on page 264. If you're able to do so, please rise. והוא רחום יכפר עוון ולא ישחית, והרבה להשיב פה ולערכו חמתו, אדוני הושיע המלך יעננו ויום קוראנו. ברכו את אדוני המבורך. ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. ומעביר יום ומביא לילה ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה אדוני צבאות שמו אל חי וקיים תמידים לחלנו לעולם ועד ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב הרבים אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך אהבת תורה מצוות חמישים ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל שמה ישראל אדוני אלוהינו Adonai Echad. Adonai Elohim Emev V'menakos HaKayim Alekim Alekim ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם אשר בני ישראל לכהנו שירה בשמחה רבה ואמרו כולם מי כמוך בעלים אדוני מי כמוך נדר בקודש נורא תהילות אוסף פלא מלכותך רוב ענך בוקע ים לפני משה זה לי ענו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל השכיבנו אדוני אלינו שלום עלינו ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ושלום יתה ועד עולם ברוך אתה אדוני שומר עמו ישראל לעד ברוך אדוני לעולם אמן ואמן ברוך אדוני מצום שכן שלום הללויה ברוך אדוני כי המלכות שלך היא ומלאה תמלוך בכבוד כי אין לנו מלך אלא אתה ברוך אתה אדוני המלך בכבודו תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד ועל כל מעשיו יתכתב ויתקדש שמי רבה בהמה דברך גאותי וימליך מלכותי בחיי חנום ימי חנום חיי לכל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה וברך לעולם לעמי עמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם וינשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה שמי נקודשה ברכו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן Not yet finished your Amidah, please continue at your own pace. Chatzi Kaddish on page 279. יתגדל ויקדש שמי רבה, בהמה דברה קראתי ואמליך מלכותי בחייכנו וימיכנו בחייך בית ישראל, בגלה בזמן קריב ואמרו אמן, יהי שמי רבה וברך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם וינשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלוש מנקודשה ברכו, להילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. ויהי נועם אדוני אלוהינו עלינו מעשה ידינו כוננו עלינו מעשה ידינו כוננו וישב וסתנו שמס יקראני ונאמון אחי בצרה חלצי ואכבדהו חרמים אספיהו והרי בשועתי ורחמים אספיהו והריהו בשועתי יתגדל ויקדש שמי רבה בהמה דברה קראתי ואמליך מלכותי בחייכנו וימיכנו בחיי כל בית ישראל בגלה בזמן קריב ואמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה וברך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם וינשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלוש מנקודשה ברכו לעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן תתקבל צלו דהון ובדהון דכל ישראל קודמה בהון דבי שמיה ואמרו אמן יהי שלמה רבה משמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל לתת גלת הצער שישלס ואנחנו קוראים וקצת עלינו עדים לפני מלך מלכים מלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שנה תשמיים ויעשה לארץ משהו ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. Mourner's Kaddish, page 282. יית גדל ויית קדש שמי רבה בעלמה דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם לעולמי עלמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה ברכו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלom עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו amen. David's going to count the Omer for us while I get Havdalah ready and what? It's on page 63. Here, you can sit here.
הנני מוכן מזום לקיים מצוות של ספירת העומר כמו שכתוב בתורה שפתם לכם ממחרת השבת ביום וכם את נאמר דבר 7 שבתות תמותין עד למחרת השבת תזכרו 50 יום ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו על ספירת העומר היום 29 יום שהם 4 שבועות ויום אחד לעומר
הנה אל ישוע תפתח ולא אבחן כי עוזי וזמרת אדוני ויהי לי לישועה ושבתי Demayim v'sason Mimanei Yeshua L'Adonai Yeshua Alamcha v'irchatecha tzela Adonai Tzevaot Imanu Miskav lanu Elohei Yaakov Selah Adonai Tzevaot Ashrei Adam Boteach Bach Adonai Yoshia Hamelech Ya'aneinu V'yom Koreinu LaYehudim Hayta Ora V'simcha v'sason V'ikar Ken tieh lanu Kosi Yeshuot Esa U'v'shem Adonai Ekra Yainanai 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 Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri agafen Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei minei v'samim Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei mi'orei ha'esh Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamavdil ben kodesh lechol ben or lechoshech ben Yisrael le'amim ben yom hashvi'i le'sheshet yamei hamaseh Baruch atah Adonai hamavdil ben kodesh lechol
Amen.
Hamavdil ben kodesh lechol Chatoteinu imcho Zareinu v'chaspeinu yarbe yarbe kacho v'kahakochavim alai Zareinu v'chaspeinu yarbe yarbe kacho v'kahakochavim alayla Shavua tov, Shavua tov, Shavua tov, Shavua tov Shavua tov, Shavua tov Shavua tov, Shavua tov Eliyahu Hanavi Eliyahu Hatishbi Eliyahu 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 Agiladi Bimera Ve'yameinu Yavo Eleinu Mashiach ben David Mashiach ben David Shavua Tov, everyone. Just one more mention to Aaron. First of all, thank you for sponsoring Kiddishes today, but also like very powerful that we talked about blessing today and that we say, may your father's memory be for a blessing. So I hope that all those blessings for you throughout your days are also peppered in with memories of your dad. Shavua Tov, everyone. Hope you have a great week. See you later. Thanks for sticking around.